Hello, Aldwyn Altuney here. We have a fantastic interview lined up for you today. An amazing guest. She has been a exotic dancer for 17 years, and I'm sure has many interesting stories around that. Nowadays, she runs retreats empowering women. And today, we are going to talk about unleashing your sass, 5 simple secrets to reclaim your power. We have Foxxy Eleoyze with us, the empowerment sage. Welcome, Foxxy.
Thank you so much, Aldwyn, for having me here on this show. I really appreciate being here.
Thank you so much for joining us, Foxxy. It's amazing what you do. And I'm sure there's lots of people wondering what the whole world of exotic dancing is like and, how you even got into that in the first place. And so it'd be great just to hear a little bit of your background about, how you started out and how you got into dancing.
Sure. How I got into dancing. Well, I always remember as a young child dancing around the lounge room to my mother playing the piano. And it was just something that I just loved to do, just to express myself through my body, just being free in my body. And along the way, like when I was about 19, I remember actually going to a club. I don't know if you know, they actually had one of those go-go girls, the little crop tops, the little shorts.
Yes.
And I remember going in there, like applying for a job, and then I realized, they don't have enough clothes on. Because at that time I was actually involved with a religious organization, very heavily invested into being the good girl, church girl. And so that lasted from about the age of 12 to my mid-30s. So I'm sure had I not been involved in that religion, I probably would have got into exotic dancing a whole lot earlier in my life. But as it so happened, I had 3 young children, ages 3, 4, and 5, when the religion that I was involved in actually changed its doctrines. So the church actually said, what we're teaching you, we don't believe anymore. So that kind of chopped my whole foundation of belief system down at the roots. I'm going, well, what do I believe in? And that sent me on a whole, like a new path, like a real turning point for me. So then that opened up the doors for me to become an exotic dancer. And it kind of just happened because I actually met someone that was a little bit older who was a dancer, and that gave me the idea, maybe I could do that. And I saw an ad in the paper. I was married at the time. And I said to my husband, I says, what do you think? And believe it or not, he thought it was a great idea. And he actually came along to the interview and told the owner of the club how good I would be, which was kind of hilarious because at that stage my whole self-belief and confidence was not very high. Even though I thought I could be a dancer, I had no idea what a dancer was. Like, I had all these visions of what it was going to be like. It was nothing like that. I'd never ever been into a strip club in my entire life, and here I was walking in for an interview. Yeah. And then I remember walking out from the back of the club into the main area of the club where the patrons were, and I saw a girl on stage and she was naked, and I was absolutely horrified. I'm going, oh my goodness. And yet there I went and did that myself. Like, just, yeah. So for me, it was like a journey of learning to just be confident in my body. And as I said, I was always drawn to it ever since I was a little girl. So I think that part of me that wanted to express this beauty from the inside just wanted to come out. It just came to me quite naturally. And then what I thought was just going to be 1 year working as a dancer ended up being 17 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And it was interesting because along the way, I discovered that like a lot of women would come into the club over the time. And initially there wasn't a lot of women, but then over the time, more and more women came into the club. And they said, I wish I could do what you do. And it wasn't necessarily that they wanted to be a dancer, but they wanted to be able to have that confidence, that belief in themselves that they're okay in this physical body that they've got. And then I saw like an opening, like a need where women were wanting more, but they didn't know how. And what I took to be completely natural and like, everyone can do this, everyone can be sexy, everyone, like, you know, I just believed I was sexy. Like, and I thought everybody believes that, but apparently not. Apparently
Mm.
not. And I think it's, you know, it's the gifts that we have ourselves. We kind of like really downplay them. And that's something I've definitely done, is just like, you know, like, really exotic dancing, like people don't want to know that stuff. Like, I'd much rather teach people how to buy property or something. Like, it was just crazy. I was just pushing that out the door, and yet it keeps coming back to me, and people keep asking me, I want this, I want this. I go, okay, all right. So finally I've decided, all right, I'll just surrender to what people want. And I'm noticing more and more people are just turning up, wanting what I have to give, you know, to teach people. So that's pretty much how I got into that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's
And
amazing. Your husband came in with you. I think that is,
I know, that's
hilarious.
It was crazy. I mean, yeah, there's not many husbands that would sort of put me out there. Yeah. But that's just part of the story. It was kind of like the beginning of the end of our relationship, in a sense.
Right.
Yeah, so what was really good ended up being a bugbear for him. Yeah, it was just all part of the journey of yeah. And just when I was a dancer, I had a lot of guilt and shame and feeling, yeah, huge. Like, I never ever spoke to my family, like my parents, about what I did as a job. And it never got mentioned for 17 years. It never got mentioned, especially with my father. I never brought the subject up, even though he knew, because I told my sister and she would have told him. But the thing is, the conversation never came up, because I felt that, yeah, he wouldn't be proud of me. And whether he was or not, I don't know. But I think over time he kind of got used to that, like, as it was. So yeah, so it was just about me learning to be okay with my body and not be ashamed of it. I'm definitely not one of the people that would put themselves out as an extrovert. I'm definitely an introvert, and very shy. Like, I have been, that's been my story. Very shut down and quietly spoken, and yeah, just lacking that self-confidence in myself. So in a sense, the dancing helped me step out of that. I actually had to become more friendly and extrovert and, you know, happy around people, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have made any money.
Yes.
Yeah, so it just, what it did is it helped me step into this other side of me, or these parts that I'd hidden away and shut down and believed to be wrong and bad, and helped me step into this side of myself. And I learned and discovered, and it's something you can't just explain to people, it's just something you have to experience, is stepping into this part of yourself, this belief, and who this amazing soul or being is in here, and exude that out to the world. Because I definitely, you know, I mean, a lot of the girls were like probably almost half my age. So it wasn't about my looks or my body or anything like that. It was about how I believed in myself. And any girl in the club that made money, it was just simply because they believed in themselves. You know, I was constantly surprised how many beautiful, stunning women became dancers, and their self-esteem was so low that they didn't even make money, and they often quit. And I thought, man, you know, you have the looks and the body all over me, and yet they couldn't make money because they didn't believe in themselves. Yeah. So it all comes back to that inner belief, that you are worthy, that
Yes.
yeah, you're worthy of being paid, you're worthy of being noticed, and worthy of being heard and seen. Yeah.
Hello, Natalie has just joined us. Hello. And if you have joined us, feel free to pop your comments or questions in here today. Anything you want to know about unleashing your sass. We're hearing a bit of Foxxy Eleoyze's story here, about 17 years she had as a exotic dancer, and wow, what a life that must have been. And I must say, I've watched some of these girls on the poles, and you know, I have actually done a pole dancing class before, and you know what, I actually really enjoyed it. Actually, I did a few classes. And I really enjoyed it because I felt really sexy, you know, the way I was moving myself and moving my bum out and all of that business, you know, out and in and up. And I mean, I can't quite do those cartwheels. And, you know, I mean, some of those girls are amazingly fit. It's unbelievable. So I guess.
Very, very super strong. Yeah, the ones that are really good on the pole. Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, if you've got any comments, definitely put them in there. I'm happy to answer your questions. But there was something that I did, as I was saying before, just, you know, women seeing what I did and wanting to know more. I actually designed or came up or created what I call the 9 archetypes of your inner power. Because what I saw was, I was just really fascinated. Like, why were people coming in, like, especially for the men, what are they wanting? Like, they're wanting a fantasy. And underneath what they're really wanting is they want to be loved. They want to be seen and they want to be heard. And that's what they're coming in, because they're wanting attention that they're not getting elsewhere. They're not getting from their partner. They're not getting from somewhere else. But if they came in, it was kind of like my job was like a therapist, really. It was just simply to love them and notice them and see them and give them attention, is what they were desiring. That's what they were really desiring. They wanted to feel worth, you know, like they were worth something. And that's how they got it. And it wasn't just about the men either. It was also women. Women were the same. There was no difference, because they'd come in and they'd have dances with the girls, including myself. But what I looked into, I thought, what is it about the fantasy? Okay, there's certain sort of fantasy, you know, like the little French maid and, you know, a little bunny, you know, like the Playboy and all that sort of stuff. So I just went and did a whole lot of research, you know, for like 18 months on all the different archetypes, you know, the ancient goddesses and this thing and that thing. And I thought none of them really resonated with me. So then I just really like researched and came out with these different archetypes, and there's 9 of them. And I'm going, why is there 9? Can't there be like 5? You know, it would be more easier to handle. But anyway, I went back to the drawing board and tried to make it less, but it didn't. So anyway, so it's 9. People tell me that's the completion number. Yeah. So what each of these archetypes are is like an aspect of ourselves, or a trait or a behavior. And oftentimes when people go and do a test and think, oh, what type am I? You know, am I A type or B type or whatever type? And this is me, and this is how I am, and this is, you know, this is me. But the thing is, it's not. I don't believe it's not. Like, I believe we're more than that. Okay. And as soon as you put me in a box, I go, no, don't put me in a box. Like, don't try and type me.
Yes.
Okay. So what we're really doing is we're just noticing by doing, like, I've got a checklist. You can actually go through and check off which ones you resonate with. And you'll find that the ones that you resonate with is the ones that you live mostly by. That's how you show up in the world. And there'll be others that you don't resonate so much with. And those are the ones that oftentimes you'll look at it and you'll go, no, that's not me at all. In fact, you'll really shut down and you'll go, no, that's not at all. Like, I can't go there. I don't resonate with it. And that's the biggest part of us that we've shut down. Yeah. So what I do with the archetypes is I help women to step into these parts of themselves through the archetypes, through role play, through dance, through movement, through feeling into our body, trying it on, see how it sits. How does it feel? And when the women step into these parts, like, they go, wow. I didn't realize, like, and it just opens them up to a whole new possibilities. Yeah, so it's amazing. It's really rewarding to see them when they open up. And I learned this myself, because working as a dancer, I would have customers come in, and of course they all have their fantasies and what they want. And some customers, like, I was kind of like the sensual, sort of soft and, you know, loving kind of person. And there was other girls that, you know, all over the place and loud. And yeah. So when I had a customer that says, oh, I want you to be a bitch to me, I'm going, I'm not a bitch. I'm not like that.
Yeah.
But he was really good. He actually trained me. It was quite funny. And yeah, I know it's a bit weird, but he actually had, like, he would lie on the floor and he wanted me to stand on his shoulders with my heels in his shoulder area.
Right.
Like, oh my goodness, like, that was just hilarious. But the thing is, he enjoyed it. Like, Okay, sure. And then he wanted me to throw beer all over him. That was back in the day when you could do that. I think if you
Right.
did it in the club right now, you'd probably be, for charges or something. But
Yeah.
back then, you could do it. and the thing, and he enjoyed it, and that gave me a sense of, oh wow, this actually feels all right. Like, and I sort of started becoming, I can actually, step into this part of myself that's assertive and strong and
Mm.
don't take no shit kind of thing. And it opened me up. So that's where the archetypes came from, is just helped me realize that these are really, really powerful, to help ourselves step into these parts of ourselves that
Yes,
we have believed that we can't
oh,
be.
fascinating, because I also would say I'm not a bitch either. And I was actually at a 3-day women's retreat, would you believe, just in the last week. And that is one of the shadow values that I worked on, is actually saying, I am a bitch. I'm a bitch. I'm a bitch. Like actually owning it, owning that part. And that's one way you can do it, working with the shadow values. We have light and dark shadow values too, right? And so it's funny you say bitch, because that's one that I was working on, because I'm like, oh, I'm not a bitch, right? But you can act it out, you can play it, and and there are definitely some positives of being a bitch at times, and it's all about how you look at even the term bitch, right? So it's actually fascinating and really funny that you mentioned that. Now, the strip club you worked at, where was that, for those that missed that? Where was that strip club?
I started on the Gold Coast, worked at various different clubs, and then I worked a long time in Brisbane in one particular club. I
Okay,
also
got it.
worked in Melbourne as well. A lot of other dancers, they travel a lot more. I didn't do a huge amount of traveling because I was probably more focused on being with my children. Yeah.
Yeah, got it, got it. And what was some of the things you loved about dancing, and what were some of the things you didn't like about it?
Okay. So first of all, it was nothing what I thought it'd be. It was like I had this idea that I'd be on stage and I'd be amazing and beautiful, and then that was definitely part of the feeling as well, but it wasn't quite like that. And I didn't realize I'd have to be a therapist. Like the amount of times that I'd have guys crying on my lap.
Right.
Yeah, sometimes there's some guys that would allow themselves to be vulnerable to go there, but a lot of them just got drunk, and just numbed the pain out and just enjoyed being close to a woman, that was receptive to him. So what were some of the pros and cons? Some of the cons was like the night work. I'd get home at 6 a.m, and then I'd have to sleep till late lunchtime in the day, so that really took a toll.
Yeah.
The good thing was just the lifestyle. The lifestyle really got you. You could make good money back in the day, especially. If I'd started at 19, I would have made heaps. But I didn't. But yeah, just being able to work whenever you want to work and don't work when you don't want to work. But at the same time, the industry was not regulated. Your job was highly volatile. If the boss didn't like you, you get fired on the spot and you're gone, and you had no say on it. So I was one of the good girls that just kept my head down and minded my own business. So I managed to be able to stick around for a while. Yeah, so it's very taxing. Like it can be emotionally, mentally, physically draining. And a lot of girls would quit because they just couldn't handle it anymore. You had to be strong in your mind, and you had to be able to separate your work from your home life. And women are really good at doing that naturally. We can do that. And oftentimes, I think just keeping a partner, a boyfriend, was a challenge, because the jealousy would come in, and they kind of think like men, and that's only natural because they are men, but they kind of can't separate, not so much as women can do, but they can't quite separate the difference. We're just there role playing, and no, we're not in love with this person in the club. Whereas a guy, they can't separate it so much, so therefore they become jealous, and it's very hard to hold a relationship. Well, I found it hard to hold a relationship. And the other girls that could hold a relationship, they were very strong. They were strong in themselves, and had strong boundaries. Yeah, whereas I didn't have so good at boundaries, because I was too much of a pleaser, wanting to make the other person happy. putting them first in a sense rather than myself. And that's a big thing. And that's a big thing for women to really learn. And that's what I find with a lot of clients that I work with. They're just so invested in pleasing their partner to their own detriment.
Yeah, got it. Very interesting. And, you know, I love what you said about confidence, you know, that you could have someone that looked like a model, right, or like the traditional model look, that just wouldn't earn much money and that didn't last long there, whereas with someone else who maybe doesn't have the classical, you know, Barbie doll looks or whatever, you know, but they had the confidence and how that can make such a big impact. So what are some of your tips to actually help people build confidence in themselves so that they do ooze that, you know, charisma and beauty that the men just love?
So how to build that confidence? Well, it's a lot of it's self-talk, how you think about yourself, how you feel and see. And it's believing in yourself. And of course, if you've got, like I did, had a lot of conditioning about feeling insecure, not feeling worthy, wanting love, you know, looking outside of me, you know, being needy, and it's hard. But when we're able to give that love and that nurturing to ourselves and believing in ourselves and who we are and what we stand for and where we're going, it's far easier to stick around and make money in the club. But it's not just about that. It's about in life. It's definitely in life, getting what you want. And the thing is, we've been conditioned, especially as women, to perhaps not step out and get what we want because we feel selfish, we feel guilty, and ashamed that we shouldn't do this. Oh, we shouldn't do this, you know, especially like being a mother. I can't leave my children. That's a bad mother. And I've met many women that won't even leave their children with anyone, not even a babysitter. And because I feel that they're bad if they aren't there for the kids. So it's knowing how to put yourself first. And it's not a selfish thing because we're conditioned to believe it is selfish, but it isn't, because it's actually the other way around. It's actually doing your family a disfavor by not looking after yourself, because then you become worn out, exhausted, not being able to be present. And that was certainly my story, because I was just so insecure. I was not emotionally available for my children as much as I wanted to be, because I didn't know how to give to them, and then keep for myself as well. I was just constantly just trying to give, but not giving enough to myself to replenish myself. So I don't know, did that answer your question?
Well, that's interesting. So you had your own battles with confidence.
Absolutely.
I guess you learned, and I, you know, last strip club I went to was Hollywood Showgirls here on the Gold Coast, and that was a long time ago. And I remember walking in there and there were like 20 girls, you know, around the place. And I remember they were doing lap dances for $69 at the time, which I thought was a funny figure that they came up with for the lap dances. That, you know, I was admiring how fit some of these girls were, you know, how they could walk around in those heels. You know, I just thought, wow, that must be really painful after a while walking in those heels. I don't know how they do, yet alone dancing in heels. I mean, you know, any tips you have around that would be great, because I'm challenged by heels, I must say. What's the trick when you're a dancer to actually be able to walk and dance in those heels?
Well, the trick is, if you really want to be smart, is you get booked all night so you don't have to walk around in them.
I love it. That's really great. You probably have great calves after a while, I guess.
Pardon?
You probably have great calves. Your calves, parts of your legs would stretch out.
You mess up your feet. Yeah, my feet became very sore. And you got to be careful on the types of shoes that you wear. You can't just wear ordinary shoes that you go and buy in the shop. There's certain what they call stripper shoes that are much more comfortable to wear.
Okay. So there's a trick to it too, getting the big base on them. I think
just the brand of shoes. You know, some shoes are much more quality than just your general shoe store. They're not made for walking in. They're just made for looks. But at least the stripper shoes are made to last and to be a little bit more comfortable. Yeah.
Right. Got it. Yeah. Fascinating. And so that fitness, I must say, I was blown away the way some of the girls, when they got up high on those poles, and, and of course, pole dancing has become very popular as a fitness thing, right? So have you, done pole dancing classes, or are you thinking of introducing that into your retreats or events?
Well, me and poles don't go real well. I know that kind of sounds really weird. Even though I did some pole tricks, I didn't really pursue that because the money wasn't in working in the pole. Okay, the pole was cold and hard, and not very forgiving on my body, bruising me. So I much rather to, I mean, I preferred to sit on someone's lap than sit on, wrap myself around the pole.
Yeah.
It was warmer. But yeah, like there's a lot of girls that really like you learn as you go. Like working in a club, you just go up there and practice and learn also the tricks, and some were amazing, absolutely amazing. And because I danced for so long, I know this is really, I don't know if this is embarrassing or what. It was definitely a paradigm shift for me. My daughters actually grew up and ended up working in the same club as me at the same time.
Wow.
So my daughter, I think it took her a little while. I think she was about 20 or something when she started. She actually started behind the bar, started doing bar work. And then my other daughter became old enough and started working. And they both became dancers at different stages. And we were working in the same club at the same time.
Wow.
So that was like a real going, oh my goodness. Yeah. And the really strange part about it is because the other people, like the boss and the other girls, they knew, that we were related. And they kind of like looked at us, like, how are they going to react? Like, just how are you going to handle this? But the thing is, what do you do? Like, seriously, I mean, we all have bodies and we shouldn't be ashamed of them. And I don't see any shame in being naked in front of my daughters. Like, and I know a lot of people are probably going to really balk at that and go, oh my goodness, that's so wrong. Because, and I was brought up to believe that was wrong. Like, that is just no, like just these perceptions we have, this shame that we have around our body. We shouldn't be naked. Like, our body is so shameful. We got to hide it. It's just amazing.
Yes. It's interesting, how many hang-ups people have in general around sexuality, around, I mean, it probably all came from religion originally, like even the concept of marriage, I mean, is it natural for human beings to be monogamous for life? There's been studies done on this, right? A lot of animals don't stay together for life. Some do. But as human beings, apparently studies show that it's natural for human beings to be monogamous for 8 years. If they have a child, it extends 4 years per child, apparently. Now, that's not to say you can't do it. I think you can commit to one partner and stay with that partner for life. My parents have been married 50 years this year. They have their 50th wedding anniversary, which is extraordinary nowadays, right? Because nowadays, so many people are just, next, particularly with the online dating world, right? People get so impatient, or that someone says something they don't like and they're on to the next one. They think the grass is greener on the other side, right? All those kinds of things. And so it's a really interesting time we're in, when it's such a disposable society almost that we live in, and that so many people have hang-ups around sexuality. The oldest trade in the world is prostitution, and I know stripping or exotic dancing is very different to prostitution. However, a lot of people have hang-ups around that, whereas it's a service that obviously wouldn't be so popular if people didn't want it. And apparently 70% of people that see prostitutes are mainly in relationships or married. So now what is that telling you about the relationship? So what did what did you see, Foxxy, when with all the guys that you dealt with and met, and what did you see was the biggest issue with relationships, or maybe with, as you say, the men were looking for love, they're looking for attention, but what are some tips you can give people around reclaiming their sass in their relationships and in their life in general?
Well, it's interesting that you asked me that, and that's a really good question, because oftentimes, men would freely speak about, if my wife knew I was here, that she would be horrified. and yet there was other couples that would come in, and some couples been married for 30 years and they just wanted to revamp their relationship. So they thought they'll explore, and and oftentimes it was a female that wanted to come in and he was just coming along for the ride. So you had varying degrees of extreme, like some men just do it on the sly. They'll never come in, like especially bucks parties, oh, I'll never come in
Right.
here, I'm just here because I'm a bucks party or whatever. And then there'd be others that'll be serial coming in, and they would rather have a relationship with one of the dancers than actually have a real relationship because it was easier for them. And there's no right or wrong with any of that. But I've actually had a few clients that stayed with me quite a few years and followed me from club to club, or found me from different clubs. And one in particular, he was having trouble in his relationship. He was a high profile, CEO of a big company. And yet he just wasn't feeling the love in his relationship. So yeah, he came in and booked me, over a period of time. And I just gave him the support that he needed at that time, and that attention, and that, I guess, love, in the acknowledgement of helping him feel good about himself, that actually helped him through whatever was going on in his relationship. And he came back quite a few years later and thanked me for it. He says, "You helped me, save my marriage." So that's an exception. It's not the rule. But yeah, there's different extremes here. But it fascinated me that these men were coming in and looking for something, and I thought, well, what's going on at home? What's going on with her? What is she not getting? What is she not receiving from him? And what is he not receiving from her? And it brought up a lot of questions in my mind of the unmet needs in the relationship. Yeah.
That's a really good point. So what is some ways that people can have happy relationships? What tips would you give for people who are in a relationship, or maybe who want to, find their soulmate or be in a relationship? What are some tips you can give around that?
So I think the biggest tip is self-acceptance. And it always starts with ourselves first, is to truly really know who we are and what we believe in and what we will compromise and what we won't compromise, and to truly love ourselves and be true to ourselves. And when we can stand in that place, and that place of empowerment, then we will attract a mate that is of the same equality or caliber. Because when we're constantly looking to our partner for that validation, of that love, of that need, of us wanting to be loved and held, and, just putting it out on someone else, that's when we go wrong. So it starts with ourselves, in feeling empowered in ourselves and knowing who we are. Yeah. And it's accepting as well. So it's accepting who we're with at the same time, just accepting ourselves and accepting our partner for who they are, rather than trying to change them. Because quite oftentimes, is what I've seen time and time again over the years, and myself included, you get in a relationship and you love certain things about them, and then you try and change them. I want you to be a little bit more like this, why don't you be more like that? And that's when things go wrong. Yeah. But the thing is, that cannot happen until we first give us that self-acceptance. And that's what I'm about, is helping people give themselves that self-acceptance. And that's where the true empowerment comes from.
And what are some ways, just digging a bit deeper there, some ways that people can come to fully accept themselves and be okay and be good in their bodies, and fully fill your own cup up first so you can help others with the overflow, right? So what are some tips and tricks you can give around that, around how to find that?
So that's a great question, and it's very important, because it starts with how we feel, or what we don't feel. It's probably more the point of what we don't feel. And it's about the judgment of what we believe is to be right and wrong. And so if we deem something to be wrong, we'll put a judgment around it, and then we might not feel totally congruent with that. And it's when we don't allow ourselves to feel the feelings that we're feeling, and we squish them down and hold them down and not acknowledge them, that's when we become unstuck. That's when we become unstable, and that's when we become scattered and stressed, burnt out, giving so much of ourselves, and we don't know who we are anymore. Is because we're trying to put ourselves into a place that we're not, because we've dismissed the feelings that have been already going on. Now, no, anger is a really, really good one. I have a client at the moment. I said, there's anger there, and she goes, yeah, but I don't want to feel it. That's wrong. I don't want to go there. Like, no, I don't want to be angry. Like, I'm not that person. So as soon as someone does that, like, dismisses something, that emotion that is already in them and arising, and if we don't acknowledge that, and I don't mean play it out, I don't mean throw it out at someone else and be angry and yell at someone else. I'm talking about feeling it within our own body. Just finding, where is that anger in your body? Where is it? So it might be in your stomach, it might be in your chest, wherever that is. And then we be with that and, like, really be present with it. Now, this in itself is an art. So if we're not used to feeling, you're going to find it difficult, but it does come easier with practice. Okay. So it's just finding that sensation in your body. So it could be a physical sensation, it could be a heaviness, it could be a tingling, it could feel like a real heavy lump, or it could, it might feel big or small, whatever it is, and just to really hone in on that area and just to start to feel with that. And notice, what is that that's telling you that's out of alignment? So when you can get in touch with that anger and you go, okay, so what is this anger telling me? What's out of alignment in my life that I don't feel good with? And that's oftentimes when we deny the truth. So, for example, it could be our partner that's abusing us, criticizing us, and yet we love them so much, we try and dismiss that part and just try and see them how we want to see them, rather than acknowledging the truth of what's actually going on. And the anger is not acknowledging it within ourselves, that we shouldn't be treated like that. But yet we're allowing ourselves to be treated like that. So the emotions that come up in our body are simply what I call guidance systems, that something is out of alignment and we're not being true to ourselves. So that is the first place to look. Yeah.
Yes. And that's a good point. Just on that point, anger is something that I've had issues with in the past. My dad always said anger is danger. And so I've suppressed my anger. And then, I had a friend years ago that said that depression is anger turned inwards, which I found really interesting as an analogy for depression. And I think, releasing that anger, like for me, I released it. I played table tennis for years. I used to belt the hell out of the ball, and, I did poetry to release my anger. I did artwork. So I had different ways of releasing anger, although I must say I find it very challenging to yell at someone or to throw things at someone. Like, some people release their anger, it can be quite volatile, right? So you're saying actually feel the emotion in your body. So you don't actually have to, yell or scream or get it out there. You're actually just feeling it inside.
And it might come out as a yell on a scream.
Right.
Oftentimes when we feel angry, and I've done it myself, is we'll use something else as a distraction. So, for example, when I'm really angry or frustrated, I'll go and do the dishes or something like that.
Right.
And that stops me from being in that moment and actually just being with it. And when you were talking about playing table tennis and just, lashing it out, in a sense, it was releasing. It was helping you physically release, but at the same time, you were still holding on to it. And it was still there because you hadn't acknowledged it. Yeah. And when we don't acknowledge it and stop and be with it, feel it, where is it in your body? Like, go into the body. Your body's talking to you. Your body's telling you, okay, so where is that sensation in my body? And it's just feeling it and being with it. It's like a young child that's tripped over and hurt themselves, and they're crying and they're bleeding, and all they want is a cuddle. Yeah. So it's the same thing with ourselves. We're hurting inside, and all we want is a cuddle. We just want to be acknowledged. We want to go, yeah, it's okay, and just be with it and just seen and acknowledged. And we haven't given that to ourselves because we haven't been trained this way. We haven't. Oftentimes when we're children, you trip over and hurt yourself. Oh, you'll be right. Get on with it. And we dismiss what we feel. That's enough fun now. I remember that one from my father. Okay, enough hijinks, enough fun. What? I want more fun. And just kind of suppress that fun part even. So yeah, just control. Like, sit down, be still, don't move, don't feel.
Yes, I love that. My girlfriend Tracy Corman, we do a comedy duo together called the Fiddly Gigglers. We started the Gold Coast Business Laughter Club together, and she runs Two's Company, which is having its 25th anniversary celebration on Friday. Now, Tracy always says to me, Two's Company is a matchmaking service and a dating agency, and she always says to me, the love that you have for others, Aldwyn, is also there for you. That love is there for you. So filling your own cup up, giving yourself that love, acknowledgement of self, because, as human beings, we're often, we've been educated to, be seen and not heard, and to, we've been like squashed by society. And we have a society where we have governments and media, etc., having people live in fear, and when you're in a fear state, you're going to suppress, right? You're going to contract, you're going to, not feel and keep busy on the outside. And I can relate to this so much, busy on the outside to avoid feeling on the inside. And something that's been really powerful for me in the last year is meditating. And I've been challenged with meditating for a long time. And just in the last year, I've really been working on meditating and focusing on the breath and the quiet. And it's amazing when you do that, how you can just access this other level of consciousness and just make things happen so much faster with so much peace and power, right? So, yeah, amazing. Yeah, so please continue. That's phenomenal. Yeah, loving this.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. Like, bringing in the breath makes a huge difference. Absolutely. Yeah, just to feel it, bring the breath into that part of the body, allow it to release, and it eventually will transmute and go, oh, what was that about? And of course it depends how deep it is. It might take a bit more work than just a few sessions. There's layers like you work through, and whatever needs to come up in the time will come up and unfold as it is. I believe we're all perfect as we are. Okay, we've just been given all this stuff that we got to work through. We are all amazing, and there's in a sense there's probably nothing really to fix except just the way that we believe ourselves to be.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're talking about, tips around relationships, about, either finding an amazing partner if you're single, or if you're in a relationship, some ways to empower that relationship. Because of course, if you love yourself, and if you love your partner, and if you have two strong individuals like this that are working towards similar goals in a relationship, right, rather than having one person lean on the other, which can, see the demise of relationships, for people to come into their power and, be like soulmates or on similar paths, what else is it going to take for them to make that happen and to have a sustaining great relationship?
So it's around communication. It always comes back to communication, to talk about what's going on for yourself. So to own what's going on for yourself. And a thing that really helps me, and will help anyone, is to come from a place of I feel. So if you have something that's going on in your relationship, you're not happy, you can just go, look, when you do this, when you don't take your dirty socks off the floor, I feel kind of sad and a little bit hurt that, I feel a bit disrespected because I like the space to be clean. But you come from your own experience. Okay, so it's not really putting the other person down. Why don't you just pick your stocks up and you're an idiot? Or it's not about that. It's just saying, coming from how their behavior is making you feel. Okay, so when you behave like that, this is how I feel. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that it can all get fixed, but the more that we share what's going on with us, the more empathy we can have for each other, and we're more likely to make changes because we care about our partner. And if they didn't make the changes, well, either stuff comes up for them, and oftentimes a lot of conflict comes around values, comes around what someone deems to be important and what the other person doesn't deem to be important. So, for example, I could leave the dirty dishes on the bench for a day. I'd be okay with that. whereas my partner might go, no, I want a clean bench, so that's just a different value. So it's learning to talk about what you deem to be important and what not, and then coming to an agreement of how that should look.
Yes,
so that would definitely help people work through issues. Yeah,
they say there's 3 C's of relationships. They say it's commitment, compromise, and communication. Now, I mentioned this yesterday. I did an interview with Martin Renaud and Anastasia Grace, who's a transformation coach, and they both run the Freedom Potential Centre, which launched a month ago. It's a space where people can do live events and you can stream worldwide with a full production facility. It's an amazing facility. And Anastasia said, I don't like the word compromise because it makes it sound like you're actually, giving something up. It's disempowering. So we came up with another C word, and it's not that C word. We came up with co-creation as another, which I thought that's really cool. I like that, co-creation as another C word that we can help to make relationships great. And I think communication is huge, and having that self-awareness, because they say that all communication is either a call for love or a cry for love, right? So we're either putting love out, or we all want love, right? It all comes back to love. And I think now more than ever, I have props to go with this love here. Now more than ever, we want love, I believe, with all the COVID fiasco and everything going on out there that we can't control. What we can control.
Foxxy.
Sending love to your fox. Very cute. Very, very cute. So
I cuddle my Foxxy.
Love Foxxy, you little Foxxy. That's your mascot.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. So love is all you need, as the song goes. Love is all you need, right? And that's what we want. And we have many different ways of expressing our love. They say there's the 5 love languages. Now, what are your thoughts? Do you know about the 5 love languages, Foxxy? And
absolutely.
Yes? What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, having worked with my partner, who's a relationship counselor, I've learned a lot about relationships, and definitely that a lot of my coaching clients is around relationships and what's going on for them personally in their relationship. And the 5 love languages are important. Like, probably I would say the number 1 deal breaker if they're not being met. Because I remember a relationship I had with one particular boyfriend that I had, and I didn't know about the love languages at that time. And he would come home from work, like I'd been home, being a dancer, I'd had time. But he would come home and he'd go, my dinner's not cooked, like, where's dinner? Like, and I thought, well, you didn't ask me to make dinner. Like, he kind of like assumed that it was my role to serve him and make dinner. I hate cooking, right? It's not my thing. I mean, I'll do the dishes, but don't let me cook now. Yeah. So anyway, so you just kind of like get a big bug there. And the thing was, I asked him, like, my love language is touch, big time. And I was just so starving of touch, like, just touch my body. Like, I actually wrote him a letter and go, can you just touch me once a week for 10 minutes? Like, just let me lie on the bed or whatever. Just touch my body. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to be touched. And do you think he could do that? Do you think he could touch my body for like 10 minutes once a week? It never happened. Okay. So in a sense, it's going, well, I kind of feel like I'm the type that will retaliate, and going, well, I didn't consciously do this. It's like, well, he's not meeting me where my needs are. And I'm not meeting him where his need was, because his was acts of service. I learned this later, that he wanted me to serve him. And of course, neither of us met each other in that. So obviously the relationship disintegrated. It wasn't until later that I learned about the love languages, what went on in that relationship. And that's what it was. So yes, if you're not giving your partner their love language, you're in trouble. Yeah. And if you don't like doing what they love, tough luck, learn to like it. Very important.
Yes, and for those who don't know the 5 love languages, so you've mentioned acts of service and touch. There's also quality time is another one. There's words of affirmation, and there's gifts. So they're the 5 love languages. And they say some people, we have a primary one and we have a secondary one. So, and you'll often find that what you like to do for others is what your love language is. So if you don't know what your love language is, what do you like done for others? Now, that's interesting that you were a exotic dancer, because often the guests are not meant to touch the dancers, right? They're not meant to, but I think they often do, right? So
in Queensland, it depends on the state you're in. And in Queensland, it was okay to be touched, above the waist.
Right.
Yeah. And some people get horrified at that. But the thing is, people would say, a lot of the girls didn't like to be touched, and they would dance around and jump all over the place, and didn't let their customer touch them. But I said, does a cat mind who pats them?
Well, no, my cat doesn't. My cat's all over the place.
The old cat. Okay, I'm a bit weird. I don't know, but that's just how it is. So
so it was probably the perfect thing for you to do. It was probably perfect. Since touch was your main love language, it's probably the perfect thing for you to do, was to be a dancer, like that.
Oh, I know. It's awesome. Like most people pay to get massage. I got paid to be massaged. So
yeah, nice.
No-brainer.
I like that concept. That's awesome. Fantastic. Wow, brilliant. And what are some other tips about how to unleash your sass? I love that. Unleash your sass and to reclaim your power. What are some other tips? And I do want to get back to the 9 archetypes as well, because I'm curious what they are. But any other tips there on unleashing your sass?
Okay. Put some music on. Some music that that you enjoy, and move your body to it. Like like I say, I don't dance to music. I allow the music dance me. Okay. So, and if you're not used to doing it, it's just be with the music. Like just put something on that gets you going and allow your body to move. And quite oftentimes we might feel awkward, but keep practicing that. Like just put it on when no one else is around, if you're conscious about being looked at, and don't look at yourself in the mirror.
Right.
and just move your body. In fact, whereas I like looking at myself in the mirror and seeing myself move, but the thing is, if you're not that confident, start moving your body, because your body will, when we move our body, we release a lot of emotion and release stuckness, and it gives us a sense of happiness, because when we start moving, we actually start feeling more joyful and more playful. And when you're feeling more playful and joyful, then your sass comes out. Like, and you have a smile on your face and you go, oh. So that's one really simple way to do it. And definitely the quickest way.
I like that. Move your body. Move your body. Yes, absolutely. And emotions get stuck in the body too, right? So you'll release all the emotions. And I just heard the other day that there's a new study has come out, scientifically proven, that we carry the DNA from 7 generations prior. So can you imagine the traumas and the dramas that might come with that in your DNA that you might not even be conscious of, from 7 generations? It's insane. Amazing. Wow. Yes, I love that music. I love music, I must say. I've been loving music and moving to music, and I love dancing. Aerobics is even great, things like that. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I like
any
that.
movement, any exercise, any way you move your body is definitely helpful. And it's vital. It's vital to our happiness and our well-being. It's vital. Yeah. And women especially, like, oh, I don't like dancing, whoever says that, they're robbing themselves, because there's power in it.
Yeah, got it. Okay, excellent. And now the 5 simple secrets to reclaim your power. I know we've mentioned a whole lot of different things, but do you have those 5 simple secrets there to share?
Do I have the 5 simple secrets off the top of my head? Because sometimes I nail it down to 3.
Yes.
So it's more like, I'll just tell you the concept of it is basically is learning to feel, to be in our body. So first of all, we need to acknowledge what's going on, like to stop denying that we are unhappy or stop denying that we're angry, and acknowledge that in ourselves. So, okay, so I'm feeling this rather than denying, or I feel hurt. Acknowledge it. Oh, I feel hurt right now. And to not necessarily lash that out to somebody else, but to acknowledge it in ourselves and be with that. And then start feeling that. Okay, so I feel hurt. Where is that in my body? Find that and be with that sensation, and then send that part love, like you would a small child that's hurting and crying. Love that part. That's the first baby step to go through. And then once you acknowledge that, is you can move that through movement. Put the music on and move and help that ease through your body, and definitely through breath as well. Okay, so breathing that through and feeling that. And sometimes if you need to yell or whatever, do that. Like, just allow whatever comes up and be okay, not judge it. Take away that judgment. And a big thing is to then also get support. Like, oftentimes we think that we have to do things alone and we have to be by ourselves, but it's when we reach out to others and we work in together, we rise up. We're not just so much a lone ranger. We don't have to do it all on our own. And I find the more that we come together in groups and working with each other and acknowledging each other, because that's when we really can open up and grow even more, because we're actually hurt by other people and we're healed with other people. So for us to grow, we need that, because we're all connected. Like it or not, we're all connected. We all feel each other's energy. We all bounce off each other, and especially in a relationship, you'll know this, that you'll know when your partner's happy or angry. You'll feel that, and then that'll make you react in a certain way. So it's just acknowledging that and not burying that. Yeah. So
yeah, great tips. Awesome. I love those. They're fantastic. And you do have a retreat coming up. So can you tell us a bit more about that, about what's happening? What are you doing for the retreat? How can people get involved?
Yeah. So, yeah, I've got a retreat coming up, but also just with the 9 archetypes, it's a great place to start. There's a link if you wanted to share that one.
Yes, I will share that. Yep, I'll share that right.
Yeah, so it's lifematters.com.au/9 archetypes.
Yeah.
And that is a checklist. So you can actually just opt in to that and then go through the checklist, just answer the questions. And in 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes, you'll have like which one you resonate most with, and it'll start opening up to new insights, what parts of ourselves that we've shut down and not acknowledging. And then, of course, the retreat is going into those 9 archetypes. Now, it's only a weekend retreat, so we're not going to go into all 9 of them, but we will go into 1 or 2 of them that is most important or pertinent that comes up in that moment. Eventually, it'll be a 5-day retreat where we might go through all of them, but definitely it'll be the archetypes that are needed for that particular group. I work very intuitively. Sometimes things come up and I go, oh my goodness, where did that come from? I didn't even expect that. I feel just like I just allow it to happen. Where's the energy going? Where's it flowing? Where's it need to go? And it's a beautiful, beautiful dance. So it helps people just work through whatever's coming up for them at that time, the stuckness in their body, and help them move through it, and opens them this space up in themselves to feel more joy, feel more alive. It's quite interesting because the women come in to the workshops and retreats and they're all strangers and they look at each other, and by the end of it, they're all arm in arm, skipping down, our best of friends, catching up, it's really quite a bonding time to really, because they've opened up to themselves and therefore able to open up to others. And it's just wondrul to see.
That's great. Yeah. And what are the 9 archetypes? Do you know them all off by heart? Or?
Do I know them all off by heart? I could, actually I've got them here, so I'm trying to remember real quick. So there is the warrior, and there's the free spirit, the contender, the pal, the enchantress, the nurturer, the dominatrix, the virginal, and the mysterious. So that's just the names of them. But when you do the checklist, it'll just have like a description for each one of them, and you'll just rate yourself where you sit with those. And it's more about the behaviors or the traits that these archetypes bring out, how we're living our lives. Yeah. So if you want some insight into yourself, definitely check out the checklist, the 9 archetypes.
Yes, brilliant. Natalie's saying she can't wait for the event and she loved the advice. Thank you, Natalie, for contributing and put your comment up there. Can't wait for the event. Yes, it's going to be amazing. I will be there as well, Natalie. That's going to be phenomenal, the retreat. So tell us about the retreat now, please.
So there's 2 ways. You can actually stay there the whole weekend, or you can just come in as like a day, like you're still there for the weekend, but you just don't sleep there, because it's we've got a certain amount of accommodation for the space. What am I going to say? Like the Friday night is kind of like a bit of a taster. So if you're not sure, you can just come to the Friday evening event, but I'd highly recommend staying the whole weekend, because then you'll get the whole more of an experience. And it's a journey. So it's a journey from wherever you are right now, and just opening yourself up to more of you, to more beautiful you, feeling more comfortable in who you are, more comfortable in your body, more alive, having more vitality within ourselves, and just giving ourselves permission to be okay as we are and show up as our true authentic selves. So I've got some people coming in that are going to share their magic. I've got a lady coming in who does body somatic work. So she will actually help us to really connect into our body even deeper. And then I've got another lady who does, she's a singer, and she will help us step into our voice, using our voice as well. So that's a lot for just, for a weekend retreat. as I grow and get a longer time for the retreats, there'll be more. But yeah, I love bringing in other people that have gifts to enhance these archetypes that help us step into these places of ourselves. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, and I've just put the link into the chat there, and the dates for the retreat are 27th November to 29th November, and you've got your Friday night event as well. Actually, is that with Natalie King here, who's on the chat?
Yeah. So that was Natalie. She runs the Birds of the Feather, a special event that she's running, and she's got me to come in to share my magic in her event. So this retreat's actually grown from that. It's kind of like, it kind of evolved actually.
Right.
I had the intention of a retreat, and then it kind of like just came to me. It was kind of weird. And that's the way you want it, isn't it? It's like it just kind of evolves and happens.
Nice.
Yeah, so if you go to that link, that Eventbrite link that you've got, and all the details are on there. It explains it all.
Okay, brilliant. Yes, so check the link out, and that sounds phenomenal. And it's really, if you were to sort of summarize the retreat in just a few simple words, it's for women only. So that's important to get as well, that it's a women's only retreat. So it's for women ideally who want what?
Well, what if they've listened to this and they feel excited? It's for them.
Great.
And if I've listened to this and they feel scared, it's for them.
Awesome. So if you want to unleash your sass and reclaim your power, it's for you. It's for those maybe who want to feel more, who've maybe been, repressing their emotions.
Yeah. So it's for people that feel perhaps a bit stuck in their life, like things aren't quite working. So that could be in their relationship, it could be in their business, it could be in their life. Just feeling like there's something else, or something's out of alignment, or something's not quite work, or feel like they've lost themselves, or feeling depleted, and just like there's more, but they don't know what it is. This is the more. Okay, the more is the parts that we've neglected of ourselves. And so what I do is I take you on that inner journey to look at what is it we've shut down in ourselves that we haven't acknowledged, and that we believe that we can't move through. So help you release that, so you do open up. You are more confident. You are more alive and attracting into your life what you want.
I love it. And you also do private sessions too, Foxxy? And
Absolutely.
how can people connect with you with that?
So they could email me. Do you want me to put the email in there? I can put the email in there.
Yeah, sure. Pop it into the comments there or the chat. Yeah, we'll put the email in there. And if you're watching this, thank you so much for joining us. Do you have any questions, comments, any ahas? We've got Foxxy's email right here if anyone wants to book a private session with her. Then I'll just pop that into the comments there. This is being streamed to Media Queen TV on YouTube, also to the Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen page on Facebook, and to my profile. So wherever you're watching this, thank you so much for joining us. Any questions, comments? What have you got out of this interview today? What have you enjoyed? What have you learned? What are some ahas for you? So you can book there on that email. So that's Foxxy, Foxxy, at optusnet.com.au. People can book a private session. Any final we've been speaking over an hour and it feels like 20 minutes, Foxxy. It's been just such an interesting conversation. I've found it absolutely fascinating. So much wisdom, so much experience. I'm sure we could just keep on chatting, but we do need to wrap up here today. So any final comments today before we wrap up the interview?
My final comment, is just, you're beautiful just as you are. Just, and even you might find that difficult to accept, that little voice comes in. Explore that. Explore that. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. And, I was at an event the other day. I'll just pop your website in there too. And they said, here's a challenge. They said, look at yourself in the mirror, look yourself deep into your own eyes and say, I love you. I truly, truly love you. And I've been practicing this. I love you. I truly, truly love you. And, I get a glimpse of myself in a window. I love you. I truly, truly love you. It feels so good. And there's so much, we can be grateful for, because things can always look worse, right? Things can always be worse. Things can always, sometimes you can look at yourself and go, oh, gee, I've got more wrinkles, or I've got, hairs growing out of funny places, or whatever, right? You could be like that, or you could be like, thank goodness I have a fully functioning body. I saw a movie called Adam last night about a guy that became a quadriplegic. He had everything going for him, and he took a dive into shallow water and became quadriplegic, and for the rest of his life. It's actually based on a true story, and what a challenge! In just one moment, in one split-second decision, everything can change. Right? People have accidents all the time. Anything can happen at any moment. So be grateful for what you have. Love yourself. Any other tips on that? Just on really celebrating who you are.
Absolutely. And I remind myself of the same thing, what do you have? Just celebrate that, celebrate your wins, celebrate what you do have, focus on what you do have and what you want. The biggest thing is if you're constantly thinking about what you don't want, and you want this to change and that to change, and this is not right and that's not right, you're going to get more of that.
Yes.
So big focus is, what is it that you do want, and focus on that. Because that's the reality you're creating. So if your reality is becoming the same as yesterday, it's because you're still thinking the same thing as yesterday.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Big believer in what we think about, we create a reality.
I totally agree. What we think about and think about, we bring about, right? And I know if Quantum Queen Karen Clark is one of our Mass Media Mastery members, if she was watching this right now, she'd be so proud of us, because she talks about this quantum field, and what we put out, we attract, and being so careful with our thoughts, being very conscious of our thoughts. And fascinating. When I'm around Karen, I'm so careful what I say. It's something we can all take on board. She's in Tuesdays on Tedder too, where we caught up yesterday at the Southport Surf Lifesaving Club, which was awesome. Thank you so much, Foxxy. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And thank you also for attending my media workshop today. We're at the How to Gain $1 Million worth of free publicity workshop today as well. and it's been an absolute pleasure, and I can't wait to see your retreat. So for those watching, make sure you check it out, lovelifematters.com.au, and all the links here. We've got Foxxy's email if you want to book her directly for a one-on-one session, or if you want to come to the retreat or come to the dance night on the Friday night with Natalie. There'll be dancing and anything else around. I haven't had a close look at it all, I must say, but from what I've
the
heard,
Friday night is kind of like a lead on to the whole weekend. The whole weekend is definitely where you're going to get a lot of value from. The Friday night is like just a fun meet me, dance and get into our bodies a little bit. But yeah, the whole weekend is definitely something to check out for sure.
Here we go. Karen's hopped on. She's so funny. She says, "Hi, you two. I'm so proud of you." Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, the ears burning.
Her ears are definitely burning. See, that's the conscious field. This is what happens. You mention someone, there she is. She's on the live, right? What are the chances? There's no coincidences in this life. The quantum queen is here again. She's in action. She's in action.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Karen. Love your work. Love your work, Karen. Awesome. Thank you so much, Foxy. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. If you want to connect with me, I've got a whole lot of events and things coming up. November 26th is actually our next How to Gain $1 Million worth of free publicity workshop. It'll be from 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you want to hop on there. Now, tomorrow, we have the Mass Media Tribe meetup, and we have the amazing Sheila Mack, who's one of our Mass Media Mastery members from the US, and she's going to be speaking. It's called Lights, Camera, Action. She's going to talk about how she has got herself 40 media spots over the last month. It's going to be amazing. Anyone who hops on that free event, you can introduce yourself. We'll have prizes at the end, which you can offer a prize to if you like. Natalie's sharing something there. Thanks for sharing a beautiful message. We need to teach each other and our children exactly that, how to love yourself. Can't wait to see both of them. Fantastic, Natalie. Thank you so much. I was on just before me. I was on just, I think what Karen's saying, I was on just before me. You before we mentioned her. Maybe that's what she's saying there.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Are you already on? You were already there. You were already, I was feeling you, Karen. I couldn't see you, but I could feel you. Oh, that is so funny. Friday, November 6th, we have an interview with Craig Ingham, who's a very well-known actor and entertainer on the Gold Coast, and we're talking about hemorrhoids and acting, how to make your star shine. That is going to be hilarious. We were in a short film together, Craig and I, called God Bless Daddy, which is up on YouTube if you want to check it out. Won a whole lot of awards, and that's from 1 till 2 p.m. Queensland time, AEST, on Friday. And then we've got the 25th anniversary for Two's Company coming up 3 till 5 p.m. on Friday. And we've got Anastasia Grace, who we mentioned here, the transformation coach. She'll be talking about how to have a power couple. Tracy Corman, the founder of Two's Company, will be talking about how to find love and 25 tips on how to sustain that and have an amazing life. We've got Michael Firth, who's going to be talking about some amazing new anti-aging developments, and we'll have 25 prizes to give away to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Two's Company. Karen says, oops, sorry, you mentioned BS. Thank you, Karen. And Tuesdays on Tedders is cool too. So check it out with Moana, and Karen started that. Tuesdays on Tedder. Check it out if you're on the Gold Coast. Fantastic group of ladies that joined yesterday. Do men come to Tuesdays on Tedder, or is that a women's thing as well? Foxy, do you know? Karen?
I've only been there with women.
There's only been women there. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah,
some guys would be welcome, I'm sure. I'm sure some guys. We'd love some guys there, surely. Is that right, Karen? If you're still or maybe not. I don't know. I mean, I love men. I'd love to have more men around me. You know, not a problem at all. I would welcome them. So that's a few things I've got coming up. If you want to check out all the events that we have with Media Queen TV, etc., just hop onto Eventbrite, follow Aldwyn Altuney. You'll see all our upcoming events, or come and join our group, Mass Media Tribe group on Facebook, and you can register there also to join our live stream tomorrow. Any final words, Foxy?
Final words is look in the mirror and say, I am sexy.
Oh, I love it. I am sexy and I love you. I truly, truly love you.
Absolutely.
Sexy. You are sexy. You are sexy. I am sexy. I love you.
Yeah,
I love
yeah. Talk to the mirror and say, you're a sexy babe.
You are sexy, babe.
Yes.
I love you. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much, Foxy. And Karen says, yes, we have 2 men. Yay. There are some men there. Fantastic, Karen. Good to know. Thank you so much for joining us. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here today, please comment, like, share the love. Love to hear from you. Any questions, comments, please put that into the chat wherever you're watching this, on Media Queen TV on YouTube or on Facebook, wherever you're watching this. Please comment. Love to hear from you. Thank you once again. Thank you, Foxy. You're amazing. And remember, if you want to connect with Foxy, all her details are in the chat there, and the website and the links for the retreat, etc. So come and connect, and love to see you again. And remember, be the change you want to see in the world, as Gandhi said, and shine bright and light up all those around you, as I say. Foxy, do you have a favorite saying that you like to say other than "you are sexy, I am sexy"?
Yeah, it is. You are sexy and I love you.
Oh, awesome. You are sexy and I love you. I love
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you. Thank you. Spreading love across the nation here at Media Queen TV. Thank you, Foxy, Eleoyze, the Empowerment Sage, been chatting with today. Stay tuned for more amazing events on Media Queen TV, and we'll see you again soon. Have a beautiful day or night.